Welcome back to another episode of the Success Times Happiness podcast. I'm your host, Richard Thompson. Today, I'm joined by Ferre De Deyne, a Belgian-born entrepreneur and adrenaline pioneer behind Australia's largest commercial go-kart track, and a life built on adventure, creativity, and fun. From migrating across the world to building iconic tourism experiences here on the Sunshine Coast, Ferre's story is one of risk, passion, and purpose. In this episode, you'll learn why fun is the ultimate metric for success, how to approach calculated risk, and why creativity is the key to happiness. If you're chasing more out of life, this conversation is certainly for you. All right, let's get into it. Ferre, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
If you were to describe yourself to somebody who doesn't know you, how would you go about that?
Oh, well, I'm getting on an age now, but about 30, 40 years ago, the action man on the coast, because as you know, we are still running the big car track, which is the largest commercial go-kart track in Australia still after 43 years. And in 1990, we built the Cable Water Ski Park not too far away from here.
Yeah.
Expanding from that, we had a jet boat operation at the Cable Water Ski, and we had a bungee operation at big car track. So people called me the
action man.
Action man from Belgium, you know. But roughly, I'm still an adrenaline freak. I still love my thrills. I'm a little bit more sedate now.
I was talking to Pepe Bowetti this morning about yourself, and I thought it's interesting that for those not on the Sunshine Coast, you are from Belgium, and I want to hear about growing up there. But you know, this action man who has, you know, with your family and has almost is a fabric of the Sunshine Coast, and for the last 4 decades, and you've seen so much change, but there's this, you're from Belgium, and you're not born and bred here, and which I think is wonderful, by the way. So talk to me about growing up in Europe and in Belgium, and how that came about to come across.
Well, first of all, as you say, after 4 decades, I really feel myself as an Aussie. You know, by the way,
so.
I'm a citizen. You know, I'm naturalized. Growing up in Belgium is magic when the sun shines, but unfortunately, it doesn't shine enough. We have a joke in Belgium that says, like, last year the summer was on a Tuesday. You know, so the best to explain it is Belgium and Europe, for that matter, has an immense amount of history and like in everything. I'm not saying that Australia doesn't have it, because it's not only just 200 years here for Western world, but it's thousands of years of the First Nations, which I'm very close to. That was one of the things that attracted me, by the way. But growing up in Belgium is brilliant. It's great. It's one of the countries that is safe to grow up with. There's opportunity there. But what attracted me, or what made me leave Belgium, was actually the climate and the adventure. You know, I came here the first time in 1981, just after I've done I had to do a compulsory army service in Belgium at those days. It was still compulsory. I don't think it's there anymore. And after that service, I said to my father, Dad, I'm going away. I'm going to travel. I'm going to see the world. And he asked me, he said, where are you going? I said, if I go any further, I'll be on my way back. So Australia, antipodes, of course, on the way back. When I came to Australia in 1981, I fell in love with the country. It was beautiful. The land is beautiful. The continent is beautiful. The people are great. The larrikins, I love it. It's up Barnsley. There's adventure everywhere. You can go fall driving, diving, you name it. Everything is here to indulge yourself into it. So, and then of course, re-meeting my wife here in Australia, by the way, after the 3rd or 4th time I came to Australia, because as I fell in love, I kept on coming back. I sort of went back to Belgium to make money. You know, with my engineering background, I did stints in a nuclear power plant, of all places.
Right.
Nuclear power plants, I should say. Watching the program not the other day about Chernobyl. That's when I went to Sweden and worked, 1986. In June 1986, I was in Ringhausen, just south of Göteborg in Sweden, which was an enormous experience, of course, having the interest of engineering. That was the peak of engineering in those days. So I did spills in Sweden, Germany, Belgium, France, everywhere. With the money I made there, was able to travel again, come back to Australia, did my adventure runs for 6 months, go back because it was very hard to stay. And on one of those trips, a friend of mine in Belgium said, like, you remember Mika? I said, yeah. Time ago, we used to go to the same Blue Night discos.
Back in Belgium.
Back in Belgium.
Mm-hmm. This is your now wife, Mika.
That's right.
Yeah.
My wife, Mika, now. And she said to me, well, they migrated to Australia. You should go and visit them. You know, you always go to Australia. Why don't you go and pay a visit? Which I did. And we became best of friends. Absolute best of friends.
Where were they based?
They were here on Sunshine Coast. They were actually, it's my father-in-law who actually built the big car track. He migrated in late 81. I was here first, believe it or not. I was here in June, July 81, and they migrated in November 81. And he bought a block of land, and he said, like, what am I going to do? You know, he was an art dealer. He had a modern art gallery in Belgium. Came here because in the 80s, it was a very big scare with the Cold War. My mother-in-law was very scared about the nuclear wars and stuff like that, and they wanted to have a change in their lives, which they did, luckily. And he bought a block of land, and he said, what am I going to do with it? And he was playing with the idea of building Smurfland, believe it or not. You know, the little blue fellas? They're Belgian, of course. Luckily, he didn't do that, because I don't know. But then he found out that a lot of Aussies are rev heads, tappet heads, love their motor cars, love their V8s.
And karting's has a much larger footprint in Europe.
Oh, yeah. Karting is big. And then he got in touch with one of the leaders of the karting associations here in Australia. And together they sort of like start working out plans. And not only he built a go-kart track, he just built the biggest
massive.
The massive one. So, and that is still, everybody thought like, oh, that's a white elephant. Like, you know, that's okay. You know, we'll take that Belgian's money and we'll nick him off again. But from day one, success and still growing. So, hence coming back to your question, why did I come to Australia? Very simple. Love the place, beautiful country, beautiful people here. And you know, what do you do when you fall in love? You move.
And you fell in love with the one Belgium thing.
And then I re-met the one that I knew as a youngster, as a 14, 15-year-old. And we had the same circle of friends, but we were not really close friends. Mm. But when I came to Australia, we became very, very close friends. You know, like soulmates. Mm. And for many years, that was it, just friends. And then I was running a nightclub at the time in Belgium just before I migrated. I was doing a nightclub. I'd done a couple of things here. That was action too, believe me. You know, chartering planes to Ibiza and party and stuff. But long story short, we had a one-night stand, and I'm still having it right now.
I love that.
36 years later, we're still having it.
Yeah, That's love good. That.
Very happy.
Where do you think your thirst for the adventure comes from? Because it sounds like it was there from a very early age. Was that something your parents instilled, or was it something that wasn't apparent early on and you looked for it?
No. I've always felt fairly, how can I say, in younger years, I was, you know, a wild Boy Scout. I was always into little motorbikes. I was always into speed. I liked the boats. Always something. Adrenaline was something that attracted me more than anything specific. It was that adrenaline feeling, you know, jumping out of a plane, or you know, going under the water, or doing silly stuff, but calculated, of course, not responsibly, if that's all a possibility. But yeah, from very young on, I always had the need for speed or the need for adrenaline.
But it also seems like it's transcended that because of it's this relationship with risk for you. The idea that you've come across to Australia and searched for a different landscape, because that's not up everyone's cup of tea.
No, and it's not a given either. You're right. There's always a risk in doing it, but if it's as I just mentioned, if it's calculated risk, it's worth taking.
How do you calculate that internally?
It's a feeling that you have,
right?
You know, like for instance, I'll give you an example where I thought I didn't calculate it enough. The first time I did a bungee jump, I thought I made a mistake and I was going to die. That feeling. As I left the podium, as I left the bridge, it was from a bridge. I left it, and the moment I left it, I was like, I did something wrong. And my wife said she was standing at the top of it, and with bungee jumping, you come back up. And she said, like, I looked at you, and you had fear in your face, and you were clawing at me. Take me, help me, I'm dying. But of course, after that, I couldn't get enough of it. And I had to have one myself.
Sure.
That's how I go. The same with the jet boats. The same with but it's always within the bounds of responsibility as well. See, like for instance, I'm a motorbike rider, but you won't see me flying past the office here doing 200 k's an hour. That's stupid. That's silly. It's always, as you say, it's calculated adrenaline. How do you calculate it? You grow with it. You go step by step. You go a little bit faster, improve there, improve this, and then of course, in my case, you try to make money with it.
Yeah, commercialize
get commercialize it in a way to give other people an adrenaline, or the fun, or the thrill of it. Mig and I always say to each other, I'm very proud to be able to say that we made money by giving people fun. I don't have to look back and say like, oh, I'm a bastard. I ripped people off, or I did it illegally, or this and that. No. It's here. It is. Here's a product. I'll give you some fun.
You'll have fun.
That's it.
Yeah, I like that. Where does your thirst for adrenaline sit on a business front then? Are you in search for that thrill or that risk, or is it more tepid?
It's a lot more tepid. A lot more, actually. My wife is more adrenaline seeking in that aspect than I am.
You're a bit more conservative?
Oh, yes, my wife would say, like you're not the big risk taker as she is. She would have gone like, oh, pump everything we've got again in the next project. Pump everything again in that project. Let's do this, let's do that. And of course, I agree with her if it works out. And we've done it a couple of times, obviously. If it works out, it's good. But if it fails, it is hard. And it's disappointing. And we always have this rule, this charter, so we balance it out.
But Ferre, you're firstly now saying you're calculating the risk of jumping out of a plane, where the downside is fatal, and a business is a downside as you lose some money.
Okay, listen. Let me rephrase, not rephrase it, because it's true. What you're saying is true. There's two things there. First of all, rule number one: it has to be fun. Always. That's our charter in our family.
Love that.
That's our mantra.
I love that.
Number one, it has to be fun. So if you fail, it's not much fun. Now, of course, if you jump out of a plane and your parachute doesn't work, it's not much fun either. I understand that part of it.
Yeah.
The other thing that I always had in the back of my mind, and this is where I'm more conservative and where I plan it a bit more, I've always been of the opinion of I would never invest more than 50% of my, let's call it capital, or my richness, or my assets. Never more than 50%. For the simple reason, if you fail, you got 50% to start again.
Got it.
Especially at my age, I'll be 65 this year. If I start doing that, if I fail, there's no way I can come back.
Yeah.
Okay? And my wife, Mika, would say like, no. We do 100%. What? 110. She would, and I love her for it, because she pushed me in a lot of times. She pushed me to do this. If anything, I would have held back a little bit more. But it balances out. This is why you don't want to stand still working.
Does the entrepreneur in you, is that from your childhood? Is that from your parents, or what did you get from your folks?
Yes, my folks were both entrepreneurs. They were in the hospitality. Okay. They ran restaurants and bistros and cafes in Belgium. They were very, very good at it. The one thing they were not good at was marriage, because they divorced when we were quite young. I have 3 siblings, and I had to take care of most of the time.
Were you the
from
oldest?
a very young age, I had to take care of my siblings.
You were the oldest?
I'm the oldest.
And how old are you when they divorced?
9. I was 9 years old, and my sister was a newborn, Wanda, the youngest. I have another 2 years younger than me is my brother Peter, in the diamond industry in Belgium. Very proud of him. I'm all proud of all of my siblings, don't get me wrong, but he's Antwerp and diamonds. You say the name Ferre De Deyne, people, the Jew people will stop and say, do you know him? He's really, really, really good at his job. Another brother of mine is Herman, we call him JJ. He lives in the south of Spain, in the hills, doing nothing, just relaxing, doing landscaping, helping people out, doing, with the expats there, having fun. That's his thing to do. And then I got another sister, she's still in Belgium as well, Wanda. So yes, coming back to, I've got the entrepreneurship from my parents. Both of my parents, they were very good at what they did. Unfortunately, they were not good at marriage, and unfortunately, that had an effect on our youth. My youth was not that Yahoo. That probably another reason why I wanted to migrate and wanted to get away from Belgium. But we all survived. We all did well. We toughened up, hardened up. Did.
How did you then go about? Because I've had the opportunity to spend some time, very little bit of time with yourself and Miki, and I can sense it. It's just your comment. You had a one night stand and you continue to do that, right? Like how from an environment of a 9-year-old who, you've only probably got 5 years or 6 years of 5 years of recollection before your parents divorced, and given that your wife is part of the business as well. How did you go about setting a foundation of marriage and a relationship that was enduring? You were otherwise successful in that.
I definitely did not want to make the same mistake my parents did. I knew that? Well, they couldn't keep it together. They divorced, and an ugly divorce. And the only people that really outside them that suffered from it was their offspring. There was the kids. And Mick and I made a promise like we get together. We stay together, all right? And we did everything we can to stay together. And luckily I hope I can speak for Mika as well, it was easy. We love each other. We had fun. We had 2 beautiful, beautiful kids, my son, Jesse, and my daughter, Charlie, great kids. We traveled the world. We made money, gave people fun. So everything, we very, very lucky and very happy people. Everything fell into place, We live in a beautiful place here on the Sunshine Coast. Our backyard is Gary, Fraser Island. We live 100 kilometers away from an international city, so we can get off the island, as we always say. Every so often we got to get off the island, and we managed to do that. We had a very, very close family bond together with my in-laws, Amy and Jacqueline, and we loved it. That cohesion was there, and it was easy. Seriously, it was easy for me not to make the same mistake as my parents. I always promised myself to, please, whatever we do, I do not want my kids to go through what I went through in my youth. Mika is different. Mika had that great youth and great cohesion with the family. Sadly, I didn't. So we definitely wanted to go Mika's way.
Is that something that's been in front of your mind, or has it been as you've progressed in the marriage, or is that something that you've it's naturally occurred?
It naturally occurred. Yeah. It was in the back of my mind that acknowledging and realizing that it really went the right way and that we are happy and that I can give my kids anything they want, as in good schooling and good upbringing and start them up business and everything that I would want if I was 15, 16, starting off, which I didn't have. So I'm very, very happy and proud that Mick and I could give that to our kids.
Hey team, just popping in to say thanks for listening. If you're enjoying the episode, please take a second to like or follow the show and share it with a friend. It's the best way to help us grow and keep bringing you more great content. All right, let's get back into it. The juxtaposition of all of this, Ferre, is that you go, okay, I'm a thrill seeker, I'm a you adrenaline junkie, but you've also got this insatiable appetite for art.
Yes.
And you share that with your wife.
Oh, yeah.
And I think you collectively, you have the largest, one of the largest, if not the largest, individual collections of Australian Aboriginal art.
Correct.
Or Indigenous
yes.
Artworks. Where did that start? And how have you been, it seems to be the black to the white or the light to the dark to the bungee jumping. It's almost like the death metal music connoisseur likes the Beethoven almost.
There's a lot of adrenaline in art too, though, Richard.
Talk to me about that.
There's a lot of adrenaline in art. It's I'll take you to an art auction. And I'll show the adrenaline there. Coming back to your question, where does it come from? I have the Proust. I call them the Prousties. My wife Proust and Amy and Jacqueline. Those 3 people, they really, really opened my eyes to the arts in all its forms. Because art is not just paintings. Mm-hmm. Art is music, writing, architecture, all that sort of
Ceramics.
stuff. Ceramics, obviously. All the forms of the arts, they opened my eyes to that. Amy and I, we traveled many, many, many times up to the north and went on art trips. So let's call them art trips, buying trips, meeting people, going to the art stations. And the reason why the reason why we have a large collection of bark paintings, especially bark paintings, is because Amy saw the first time in his life, he saw a bark painting at a gallery in Sydney at Rosalind Oxley's. And it was of an artist called Mikko Bargu. And it was like a power figure, Namarkon, a thunder figure from the north, from the Kohinju people. And he said, like, wow, this is amazing. We need to get some more out of this. And he fell in love with it, introduced it to me. He said, Ferre, what do you think? I said, man, this is amazing. Just we need to protect this. This is disappearing. We got to make sure it doesn't disappear. We got to tell the world what it's all about and everything like that. So that's what we did. We started collecting and preserving it, and hence the volume of bark paintings that we have in sculpture. We restarted the art movement in the Arakoon region from the Wik people. We actually virtually went there and restarted it because nobody was doing anything anymore. And we commissioned all what we call the Arakoon Bible, for a better word, a lesser word, of all their works, all their dreamings, all their mythical figures. Do them for us. It needs to be preserved. Of course, the museums are very interested in that and to have it and to relay it, because we feel, and I learned this from Ame as well, the major responsibility as an art collector that you have is to make sure you can share it as much as possible. It is no good to buy a beautiful piece of art and put it in a dark room. You have to show it. Lend it out to people. Lend it out to museums, to institutions, to galleries, to even people. I give paintings to my friends. Hang it on your wall so people see it. Right, that sort of stuff. That's very, very... I was on a panel actually last week at the university gallery there, because we donated some works and we pay for commissions and stuff to create the arts and support it as much as we can. And I mentioned it there too. That is the most important thing. Share it. Have it on Vista. Have it on. It travels the world. Goes to everywhere in the world. New York, Basel, everywhere. People ask, "Hey guys, can we have some John Marmondjul?" I'm just dropping a name here because they know we have the best. Of course you can. Of course, it needs to be done by proper transport, and it needs to be insured.
Sure.
That's a normal sort of thing that happens. Anyway, so that's where it comes from.
And your children?
Well, they grew up with it, of course, didn't they? All right. So Jesse, let's start with Jesse, my son, first. He grew up with it. He used to come with us to museums. And I remember him standing there with his little arms and looked at me. And I said, "What do you think, Jesse?" He said, "Dad, don't we have one of them in the living area?" I said, "Yes, we have, son." He said, "Oh, that's cool." And he really, really absorbed everything. He was one of these kids that really sucked it all up. So in his studies, he did international law at university and art history at the university. As soon as he's done that, he used to work for auction houses in Melbourne, traveled the world, went to Copenhagen, did some work there, did Amsterdam. He was really immersing himself in anything. And then he started his own business, a business called A Secondary Eye. So he's an art dealer. If, say, for instance, Richard Thompson wants a work of, let's call John Marmondjul again. You go to Jesse, I would love to have a work of him. He'll go and look for him. What's your budget? He will go and look for him. Or Richard has a John Marmondjul that he wants to sell. They're like, "I found a client for you." That's the job of an art dealer. It's not a gallerist, as per se. It's an art dealer. And it's not an auction house. Auction houses, they're great, don't get me wrong. And Jesse deals a lot with them as well. He used to work for some. But their commissions are really, really big. Jesse's commissions are a lot sharper, a lot cheaper. They move between people.
Got it.
So that's Jesse. Charlie, again, UQ and then in Brisbane at Griffith University for the arts. She did fine arts and jewelry design. And then, of course, my wife, I have to tell you how this ceramic thing comes about too, if I may interlude there, is that after we sold the ski park, my wife sort of like, obviously she came with me to the track and this and that, but she She took care of the house. We built a beautiful house in Mumbai with Gabriel Poole, architect, obviously, part of the arts as well. And she was doing painting. She wrote a book, beautiful children's book. I said, "Can I please publish it?" She says, "No, you cannot. It's still there. I'm working on it." And she's a great painter. And she did all these kind of things. And suddenly she said, "Oh, I'm getting bored." And I panicked. Because the last thing I want is to bored. I don't want my wife to be bored. I don't want to go and pick her up 4 o'clock in the afternoon in Mumbai pub. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So for her birthday, for her 40th birthday, I bought her a pottery wheel. And I created
a monster.
A monster. She went berserk on it, and she was good at it. And of course, Charlie then said, "Wow, what's going on here?" And when she finished her university, she, with the design of the jewelry that she did, and I sort of helped her out a bit, melting steel and stuff like that, she started introducing ceramic pieces into her jewelry.
Right.
And then, my friend, a couple of months later, I came home and they had a business plan for me. He said, "What do you reckon about ceramic schools?" And I looked at it like, perfect, let's do it, right? This is what I said to you before, where my wife and my children as well said, like, "Come on, let's do it."
Yeah, let's go all in.
That was definitely all in for me as well, because I looked at it and said, like, "Wow, this is going to be fun. This is going to be great. It's educational. It's great for my family, especially for my wife and Charlie. Let's do it." And we did it from day one.
And so talk to me about the business.
The business is, they have 2 already now. They're the ceramic schools. So what we created a space, beautiful airy space, lots of plants, lots of lights and everything like that. Beautiful music, a coffee shop in there, where you can go and hand build with clay or throw pots on the wheels. So we got 13 wheels in there, 2 big tables. It's humongous. It's called the Ceramic House, Massamik Ceramic House. We set this up, and after 6 months, everything we invested in it was paid off, and we had waiting lists for people who wanted to come in. And as I mentioned to you before, from that sort of business idea, a lot of other shops opened up, which is great, because the more creativity you can give to people, the better. And then, of course, because there was waiting list, people going like, "Come on, come on, come on." So we set up another one in Morningside. Same thing. We opened up, bang, full. And then, of course, Charlie started having babies, and it's sort of like, like giving work out and making sure
managing that
with it. And she did that of course, in partnership with my wife. But it's both Mas and Mick. Mas is which actually Flemish for little girl, Mas, and Mick is Mika. So Mas and Mick, so the little girl and Mama, Mama and daughter. Again, it's one of these things, Richard, that you look back on and you say like, "Wow, I'm so glad I've done that," because it gives a lot of joy. It's a lot of creativity. It makes money. It's important as well, because you got to live off it, and it gives people pleasure.
Well, the first thing you described when you looked at the business plan just then, you're like, that's fun.
That's fun.
And that's like
that's rule number 1. I cannot say it enough. Rule number 1. It has to be fun. I guarantee you, tomorrow, if I wake up tomorrow morning and I think like, "Oh, bugger, I don't want to go to the track anymore. It's no more fun," it'll be on the market. Seriously. And I want to have fun.
You must have off days for it? Like, what happens where do you go to? What's your inspiration when you're having a tough day? Because for every day that I've ever seen you, it's you maintain an incredible energy and aura about you, that it is all about fun.
It really is, and I try to strive as much to it. If I feel on an off day, I will look for means to make the day better, to make it good, to have fun. What do I do if I have an off day? I read.
Mm-hmm.
I relax. I listen to intelligent people on podcasts. I listen to their reasonings. I sort of try to sort out the bullshit with the factual things, the things that ground me. That's what I do then. And otherwise, it's like I said, it's no good for me to drag other people down if I'm having a bad day. So I try not to do that.
I love that.
Yep. You need to really. If I could, I'd throw a party every day, but I can't do that.
And for the listener who wants more fun in their life, what should they be doing? Where should they be looking?
what you like. You follow your passion, where you're passionate about, and go for it. It's like I said, make it a rule. Make it a rule. Let's make it a rule that whatever I try to do, be positive. Mika says that. Stop being pessimistic, because I go like, oh bugger, what are we going to do if we can't get fuel? Mika said, don't think about it. Think positive. And she's very much a calming figure in my life. Believe me, she holds me on the rail. She's my railroad track. I'm the run loose locomotive sometimes, but she keeps me on the track.
Yeah.
And she pulls the brake once in a blue moon. But advice for other people is like, just have fun, whatever it is. You go rowing, go swimming, go traveling, do read, be creative. Being creative, if I may say so. If you do anything that you can do, and as long as it's creativity, create something. Write, make a pot, obviously, paint, weld something, do something, puzzle, whatever it is. Keep your brain creative. Happiness will come a lot easier.
By being a creator.
By being a creator, by being creative. And it also reflects on other people that surrounds you. If you do that. They will judge you positively, in a positive way, for it, because you're creative.
You've been here for 4 decades.
Roughly, yeah.
Along the way, have you had different mentors or different people you've looked up to locally? That
my wife, for sure. I am definitely my wife. My father-in-law, Amy Proust, was definitely somebody that I'll listen to for the good and the bad. And if it was bad, I would tell him, and he would tell me too. We were very, very honest to each other. Like I said, we traveled a lot, but we never had any big fights. Sadly, at the end of his life, he had dementia, so he lost a lot of the good thoughts and the fun that we had, which really hurts me more than him, of course, because he didn't realize it. But throughout his life, he was my best friend. Amy Bruce was always my best friend. My wife is a mentor for me because, like I said, she keeps me in the straight and narrow. There's a couple of people here and there that I listen to. Mentoring, I'm pretty stuck in my ways in certain things, but locally there is there's a lot of good people on the coast.
How did you handle your father-in-law's passing?
Sadly, my wife and I, we had a lot of troubles with it because it was an ugly one. Because of the dementia, it was very hard to see a really worthy, highly cultivated man losing the plot. It's a very, very hard, dementia is a very awful disease. Very, very, very bad. In ways that, if I can be so crude, because the man passed away at the age of 92. But if he would have passed away, and I would have not want him to pass away, but if you think back these last, say, 5-6 years, it would have been for him himself too. If he could look himself back, he would say like, I want to go there.
Yeah.
I didn't want this for you guys to go through anymore. Either. I know that for a fact. So it was very hard, and especially for my wife as well, because they were 2 hands on 1 belly. And it was tough. And my mother-in-law, she passed on a couple of years before that. Again, a big figure in our family.
Thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story.
My absolute pleasure. I walked in here not even knowing what you were going to ask me.
How did we go?
I'm happy as long as you're
having
happy.
fun,
I hope we didn't sort of annoy or bored your
No, I think
your people.
There's so many good takeaways there in terms of the way you approach life, and it's infectious. Before you go, 5 quick questions for you.
Sure.
Obviously haven't sent anything in readiness for this. What does success mean to you?
Success gives me happiness. It's the realization of the fun that I'm seeking, and the ability to give fun to other people as well. That's success for me.
And then what does happiness mean to you, bro?
Very similar. Happiness is again being happy about being successful.
Yeah, okay. And obviously giving people fun.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's all part of it. because that's your environment.
If there was one piece of advice you could give to the world, what would it be?
I think I've said it 1,000 times in this
it.
interview.
I love it.
Rule number one, it has to be fun and be creative about it. Creativity, folks, is I'm known to be saying, Richard, in circles, is like a community without the arts is a community without a soul. You got to have the art. And with the arts, I mean creativity. You don't have to be a famous artist and everything like that. And there's plenty of around the coast and great artists as well. You don't even have to be good at it as long as you do it.
Yeah.
That is so important.
I love it. What does your normal morning routine look like? What time do you wake up?
Around 6:30.
Okay.
I used to hop out of bed and do all kinds of stuff. Now I hop out of my bed. You know how people sometimes say like, "Oh, I'm feeling it now. I hop out of bed and my leg hurts or my arm hurts and everything." I hop out of bed and my skeleton hurts. That's
the whole thing.
The whole thing hurts. So I need to sort of like crack everything into place, and then my wife and I, we walk around the property or we go for a walk on the beach. We do a bit of Pilates now, and we talk. I most mornings, say for instance, I'll make breakfast for myself and my wife, and have a good cup of coffee, and we talk about what's happening with the day, and we move on from that. And my wife, especially Mick, she will always talk about like, where are we going next? She's always planning our next trip. Right. So the next couple of weeks, we'll probably take our little camper and go bush somewhere and relax, sit around the campfire. Which, as I just mentioned, we just come back from New Zealand from our beautiful walk there. The Queen Charlotte track was amazing. We were going to go to Europe this year, but we sort of postponed it a bit because of the troubles, let's call it that way, with what's happening in the Middle East and the insecurities, which is a bit of a pity because my youngest brother, JJ, he's celebrating his 60th birthday, and I would have loved to be there. But anyway, we'll do it next year.
And you have a wedding to plan.
And I have a wedding to plan in August. It's going to be a party and a half.
Yeah.
And the De Deynes are known for their parties, so it'll be a good one.
Lovely. And then finally, someone that you know who you think would be a good guest to have on the show.
Very good friend of mine who's a pilot. It's going to be hard for him to get on. But he's a pilot with International Airlines, and it's a girl called Rob Guerrera. In the tourism industry, of course, I can introduce you to Terry Irwin because they're very close friends of mine because we're next door. And,
sure.
Or Robert or Bindi or Chandler. Any of that family would be very, very cool.
Terry Irwin's your pick.
Terry Irwin is I admire Terry Irwin very much. We met in 1992. We were both fighting for our brown tourism signs on the highway.
Oh, wow.
And she came to me at the track. We were introduced together through some tourism connections, and we started talking. And at the end of the conversation, we looked at each other, and she said to me, like, "I like you. You're a fighter. You got a big mouth. You dare to speak up." I said, "I like you too, even though you're a Yank." And we really, really hit off. There's a tiger named Mika. There's a giraffe named Jessie. There's a couple of lizards named Charlie and Una, my granddaughter. So there's a shark swimming around called Ferdinand, which is me, a shark, believe it or not. But yeah, they are very, very interesting. And she's a clever woman, a fighter. After the disaster that happened with her and with Steve's passing and everything, how she guided her kids to what they are now. Chapeau, they say in French. Hats off. It's really, really good, and to keep it going like that. Because a lot of people thought like, "Oh, that'll be the end of it." And I said, no. You wait. You wait. And she did, and she proved it, and she's got a lot of respect for me.
Ferre, thank you so much for your time, man, and keep having fun.
My absolute pleasure, and I will keep on having fun. Do you do the same? I know you do.
I will.
So that's good. Thanks, buddy.
Cheers. That was another episode on the Success Times Happiness podcast. Next time you're chasing your next adventure, turn to the person next to you and tell them all about the show. It really means a lot. A huge thank you to Ferre for sharing his incredible journey and reminding us that life is meant to be fun, creative, and lived fully. If today's conversation inspired you, please subscribe, leave a comment, or share it with someone who needs to hear it. It really means a lot. Until next time, peace.